Welcome back to Fanbase Forward, Invest, Innovate, Impact. And I'm now joined by Mr. Ross Mack, founder of Maconomics. What's up, my guy?
My God, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. We met at InvestFest in ATL, man. And after meeting you, I definitely was inspired by your energy in Black people investing and getting into finance
hmm
and understanding those things. So give people a little bit of your background because I want to talk about the importance of investing at this crucial moment in our history.
Yeah, man, I think that one, is definitely mutual. It was great to meet you. I look forward to continuing to build with you. And a little bit about me, right? I'm from the South Side of Chicago. Used to work on Wall Street. Did sales and trading at Morgan Stanley. Then I worked at a hedge fund called Grosvenor Capital. And so, I've seen things on the highest level, but the biggest thing is the fact that I'm from the South Side. And I said, you know what? I realized the greatest teacher is exposure. So I want to bring that same thing that I was exposed to and bring it back to the inner cities. And so I developed Maconomics, which is a platform, a financial literacy production company where we specialize in bringing Wall Street to Main Street. When we talk about investing, man, it's investing in our people and investing in, actual assets as well.
Cool. So I wanted to bring you on because I think a lot of people, we have a lot of investors that have come in Fanbase, but a lot of people that could be investors. And I wanted you to speak to the subject of how important is investing, and in equity crowdfunding is a little different, but I want people to understand the difference between pre-IPO and post-IPO investing and why this is really a good opportunity, because most of the time we don't get a chance to really invest early with equity crowdfunding in tech.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, right? You can't save your way to wealth. No matter what, right? No matter how much your grandmother told you to save your money, right? At the end of the day, you have to invest at a bare minimum to allow your money to outpace inflation, right? And so when it comes to investing, you could do it several ways. And traditionally, right, we've been kept out of investing for the most part, right? The assets that we've owned haven't been allowed to appreciate, whether it's even from real estate due to redlining. When it came to actually buying stocks, the barriers to entry were pretty high back in the day, and not until recently we were allowed to invest and actually not have to pay, transaction fees, right, or commissions, et cetera. And so now, there are different layers of investing, right? And when you think about, having the ability to invest in the next, you know, tech, darling, tech unicorn, we've traditionally been kept out of those conversations because one, right, that tends to be, you know, f- left for the big venture capital firms, people that are managing, billions and billions of dollars. And one, right, our Black founders often aren't getting nearly what we should when it comes to those meetings, right? I think we get less than like 1% of their allocations. But on top of that, when it comes to being able to invest in, private companies, you have to be something called an accredited investor. And when it comes to being an accredited investor, the rules change, but just consider you got to have over, you have to make over $250,000, right? Or have over like $1 million of, assets or something like that. And as you can imagine, the average person that look like us, they don't, check those boxes. And so
Yeah.
to your point, equity crowdfunding presents a good opportunity for people of color to actually say, you know what, I want the ability to, invest in the next big wave of technology. And so I think it's important that, we find ways to have a diversified portfolio where you got your safe assets, your real estate, but also have the ability to own something that has the ability to have a, 50, 100, 200x, even plus.
I echo those sentiments all the time, but I want people to hear from someone that's actually in the space and an expert, because coming from me, it just sounds like a guy talking, but people that, I do this for a living, I think is extremely important. What do you think the role of the Black community um, in shaping the future of innovation? I always talk about how our culture really defines everything that's cool, but there's no infrastructure to contain that in, and how we have to create companies that we own that house our innovation. So,
Yeah.
so the app fan base is one of those things in social media. We don't own these apps. So us being able to actually own our culture in something that is tangible as opposed to something that is not with our culture, how important is that?
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, right, Black people as a culture, we're the coolest, most creative people in the world. However, we don't own, anything when it comes to that, right? And so when you think about all social media, you think about just what you think about the music industry, right? We are the best product. However, we have no ownership at the top, right? When it comes to things that go viral, whether it's on, some of your peers or even watching Clubhouse go viral during COVID, like at the end of the day, right? Us as a community, we're gonna make the dances go viral. We're gonna have Black Twitter, etc. However, when we have no ownership, we once again are just the product. And so, to your point, right, I think it's important that we find a way to, level the playing field and actually understand that us as a culture, that's one of our biggest, exports as Black people, right? We export our talent. However, we need to own it as well.
And then lastly, I want to touch on investing in Black businesses, because you and I are both entrepreneurs, and the
Mhm.
ability for us to, um, leverage our own wealth in our community is important. And that's one of the first things when I met you. That's one of the first things that you talk about. Why you do what you do is how we can leverage our wealth in our
Mhm.
community. So definitely speak about that, and and how important that is.
You already know. Oh, the conversation we had was real big. I said, look, bro, I got a platform. I want to open the door. I still need you to come to New York, and we're gonna have to, do that. Unfortunately, we don't do the,
Yeah.
the Zoom, but when you in person, it's gonna be a vibe. It's gonna be a movie. But yeah, man, look, when it's all said and done, man, I think you gotta understand that nobody's coming to save us, right? And we have the power, we just don't know how to collectively get together and put all of our resources towards something that's going to continue to advance us. And so when you talk about, spending money in the Black community, if you look at, call it a little over 100 years ago when we had Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a dollar would stay in the Black community there for over a year, right? Fast forward to today, a dollar leaves our Black community in like less than 4 hours, right? And you look at our respective counterparts, I think Asians is almost 3 weeks. Jewish is around, slightly less than that. But like when you look at people having money in their community for weeks, when it leaves ours in less than 4 hours, there's something to be had and something to be said there. And so I think it's important that when it comes to trying to help advance us as a community, it's important that we find ways to, support Black businesses, right? Spend money with people that look like us who, at the same time are trying to advance us. I think that's important, right? It's one thing to just be a means to an end, but then it's like, okay, where's my dollar going? And if I have the ability to put it in a place where it's advancing us, I'm all ears for it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. I'm glad that we able to have this conversation, for you joining us on Fanbase Forward. I'm gonna make sure I get up there, and if you get down to Atlanta, let me know, man. You can come by the Fanbase headquarters. We can definitely chop it up. But thank you for joining us. I appreciate your time, everybody. This is Ross Mack, and we'll be right back on Fanbase Forward. All right.
My man, appreciate you.